So XRP Las Vegas just commenced, and this was definitely a very big event for the entire XRP community. And we definitely heard from some very prominent names, like, for an example, Brad Garlinghouse at this event. And we definitely have to talk about what he mentioned because it is something that we have heard in the past. And I still think that we need to be aware of what's really going on around Ripple and what XRP really means for what Ripple is trying to do. So let's actually address that. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But first, let's actually talk about an upcoming event that's even bigger than XRP Las Vegas, and that is Apex 2025. This is the largest annual summit for the XRP Ledger community, and there's going to be a lot of great things addressed at this event. I would be surprised if we didn't see a big announcement or a big partnership announced at this event, just like we saw back in 2024. And then also going into the fall timeframe, we do have Ripple Swell as well. So we have some pretty big events upcoming, and I'm very excited about Apex because this is very close to being here, which is June 10th through the 12th. And I do think that every XRP holder should mark on their calendar these dates, because this is definitely something that you don't want to miss because it's going to be one of the biggest events. Now, when we think about that, what was announced or what was talked about at Las Vegas? Well, we heard from some pretty prominent names, like I've mentioned, and the biggest thing that we really kind of heard was just what Ripple is trying to do. Now, we'll address that here in a second, but it has to do with the push from Ripple around cross-border payments, okay? We know that Ripple is changing the way that money is moved. The internet of value is something that I have always talked about on this channel because that's exactly what Ripple is building, the internet of value. It's always been their, motto that we're building the internet of value, changing the way that money is moved around the world. And a lot of the recent announcements, like this one from February regarding Unicambio, is, I would say, confirmation that they're still on that path. They're still becoming very successful about, achieving the internet of value. And this does include XRP. A lot of people think that Ripple Payments doesn't involve XRP at all because the name changed from on-demand liquidity over to Ripple Payments. And then we saw RLUSD announced as well. And when you actually go to Ripple Payments, this is what you see around Ripple Payments. It's talking about, stablecoins and crypto, and we no longer have XRP at the center point, just like we saw in the past when you went to on-demand liquidity on their websites. So a lot of people think that XRP is basically replaced, but that's not the case. Okay, I want you guys to understand that XRP and the XRPL play a vital role in the cross-border payment side of Ripple. It's not replaced, it's not dead or anything like that. But I do think that we need to highlight some of these partnerships because this is definitely a big one, and it highlights the growing, focus on cross-border payments from Ripple still even today, because we were talking about cross-border payments 4 years ago as well. And today we're still talking about it because it's still a very prominent problem in the global financial system. Cross-border payments are extremely inefficient today, and they're also plagued with so many, inefficiencies as well, like, for an example, lack of transparency, failed payments, high cost, and also low finality speed. So when we think about that, we obviously look at these partnerships. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this one back up specifically is because Ripple put a customer spotlight out recently on their X account. It's spotlighting Unicambio. One of the oldest and largest foreign exchange agencies in Portugal is expanding its global footprint with Ripple Payments. Now, within this, we have a full case study, right? Unicambio is expanding its global footprint and accessing new customers with Ripple Payments. We have the goal to access a new customer base and offer streamlined international business payments between Europe and Brazil. Interesting. This kind of makes a lot of sense with the recent push from Ripple XDev, which, if you guys did miss that one, 2 stablecoins are launching on the XRP ledger, the BBRL, and then also the BUSD, I believe. So when we think about this, okay, and we combine this with the idea that a Euro stablecoin is launching on the XRP ledger as well, we could see Europe and Brazil being cornered using the XRP ledger. This is why I've stated that no, XRP and the XRPL are not getting replaced. In fact, the use case around XRP is getting reinforced. And we have here them talking about Ripple payments and leveraging the power of crypto to achieve, transparent transactions, near real-time payments, and even around-the-clock market access as well. Now, here are some of the numbers behind this. So Unicambio was established in 1992, 280,000 plus global customers, 3,000 average daily transactions, and 50 plus currencies support it. Ripple is scalable and has a large industry presence and knowledge of international transfers, giving Unicambio confidence to expand its business, working with a team that shares the same vision and who is as involved in the project as we are, so that we can deliver the best value to our customers is exactly what Unicambio needs. And of course, they're unlocking key payment corridors. We already know that Ripple has 90% of the FX market dialed in. So love to see this. This is incredible. Now, this is why, I was talking about Las Vegas, because what did we hear from Brad Garlinghouse? Well, let's actually start off with this one. So big shout out to Johnny Crypto00. We have Must See TV. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says we all need to work together to grow the industry. Bitcoin isn't the enemy. Now, why is Brad Garlinghouse talking about Bitcoin in this sense? Well, Bitcoin isn't the enemy. Bitcoin was never the enemy. In fact, Bitcoin maxis were always the enemy. But also, when it comes to Bitcoin, I even stated, I made a response to this and I said, that's because Bitcoin was never a threat to the XRP ledger. I mean, if you use the network behind Bitcoin and XRP, you realize there is nothing to worry about. And it is because the inefficiencies around Bitcoin really kind of stop it from being a dominant, network over, like, for example, XRP or even HBAR or other, layer ones. But check out this video clip. It's about 59 seconds long, and it's Brad Garlinghouse regarding this.
Billion more people into crypto. And the infighting, honestly, it makes us all look stupid. It's like, I did a good look at it. It's like, come on, And by the way, I also, as much as I admit, I love the XRP family. I love it, love it, love it. But I will say, even the XRP family, it's like, look, the Bitcoin community is not our enemy. They really are not. If they do well, we're going to do well. We might do better. It's just like, it's not a zero-sum game. And I think the one thing I learned, I was in Silicon Valley for 24 years. The one thing you learn is tech is not a zero-sum game. We're going to grow the pie. And David Schwartz was up here yesterday talking about rewiring the entire banking system and what this looks like maybe in 10 years or 20 years. We underestimate how big that change is and how profound it is. And we get there by being collaborative and working together, not against each other. Billion more people.
Now, he is 100% correct here, right? Like, I do think that this industry would be a lot stronger if we started to really kind of collaborate and work together instead of always saying, oh, well, this one's better than that one. And, this community sucks because of this, or XRP is a joke, this, that, whatever. Like, there's been so much infighting over the years. And it's just, what does it lead to? Absolutely nothing. It's just nonsense. So yeah, I do think that he's 100% correct here. Now, let's actually address the big elephant in the room, which Brad Garlinghouse did talk about, which was, we're going to surprise the world about how big of a dent we can put in the universe. Okay, so when we think about what's going on, this quote is not brand new. Brad Garlinghouse and the team behind Ripple have always been focused on making a dent. Making a dent not just in, the universe, but around finance, payments. Ripple is becoming completely involved in the rewiring of the financial system. Ripple, utilizing the power of blockchain, and in this case, it's the XRP ledger, they are achieving and doing something that will be absolutely historic. They're changing the way that dollars, euros, pounds, Brazilian reals, every single fiat currency, they're changing the way that every single fiat currency moves around the world. They're fundamentally changing the financial system as we know it. Now, like I said, this is not a new quote. For an example, here we go back to January of 2024. And this video clip is not from 2024. It's actually a little bit older. But we have must watch. What Google is to search engines, Ripple is to remittances. We're here to make a dent in the universe. This is all based around cross-border remittances, a $156 trillion market. And we also know that that's projected to grow to over $200 plus trillion within the next 2 years. But check this out.
How do you think, what is the next move, on Ripple's roadmap, in your opinion? To put you on the spot here.
No, it's very simple. So I think one thing, if there is one message that you can get in this room is Ripple is not an ordinary company. We are not here to have a small market share or do X, do Y, and make small amount of money or something to happen. We are here to make a dent in the universe. Either we will change the remittance universe, the way you understand, the way value gets transferred across the world, between people, between institutions, or we will just fade away. So it's almost 0 or 1, and some of it comes from our Silicon Valley arrogance. Some of it comes from, that's the reason 6 years ago we were born with the mission of moving money like information moves today, right? And we are making it possible working with the existing ecosystem. So I think this is a key differentiator about Ripple, and that's the reason we are a monoline company. Every day we get tens of ideas to say, why don't you do security settlement? Why don't you work in trade finance? Why don't you do X, Y, Z? And what we tell them is, just cross-border remittances is $155 trillion problem. We'll solve this first. We'll make a difference to everybody who's present in this room. And once we have made the difference, then only we will look at something else. So we are like, Google is for search, Ripple is for remittances. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it right, and we will not rest till we earn your respect and your business.
So yeah, when we think about what's going on here, Ripple is fully committed to changing the way that money is moving around the world. And the stablecoins, a lot of people think that the stablecoins are like the, big problem. Like, oh, this is killing XRP. They're no longer focused on XRP. The stablecoin reinforces XRP. I've talked about this on multiple occasions, but it's still focusing on the original view, which is there's a problem with money and how it moves. We're fixing that. And they're doing that. And also over here, we have another clip. This is 24 seconds long. And again, they have an opportunity to put a dent in the universe. Check it out.
I think we're all drawn to people and things where you want to be a part of something bigger than you. And you want to put your kind of dent in the universe, to borrow something that Steve Jobs used to say. And Ripple always felt to me, and the idea was big. The idea of rewiring how financial infrastructure worked, and
listen, this is a huge deal. And even over here, more recently from December, a dent in the universe. Utility matters. Check it out.
I feel very fortunate to be in a position where Ripple can have an impact. And when I joined the company, I said that I think, many people want to put their dent in the universe. And I think I feel that way. And I think many of Ripple's employees feel that way. They want to put their dent in the universe. And I think if we continue to evangelize and successfully deploy Ripple's technologies, we're putting that dent in the universe. And I feel that way about the crypto market overall. Yoni, in the past, he and I have talked about, I think, the negative side of kind of tribalism within crypto. And, I other than the scamsters who are just, pieces of shit that we need to get rid of, I'm very pro crypto, and there will be multiple chains, and that will be successful for different use cases, I think. And I want to see a lot of them succeed. And I hope Ripple has helped pave some of that road, particularly from a regulatory perspective, to help others along the way.
And yeah, it's still the full focus here is utility, how we can utilize crypto to change things. I mean, listen, money itself is changing. We already know that. It's very clear that the governments are telling us as well that guess what? Things are moving on chain. We want to use, even the US, right? For an example, the US wants to use stablecoins to reinforce the dollar. Do you honestly think that the US is going to stop, just at the US dollar? No. They're going to change everything. The banking infrastructure. They're going to change the way that, people are paid, money in terms of paychecks. They're going to change the way that taxes are paid. Everything is moving on the blockchain. But it's not even just the US, right? If the US is utilizing stablecoins to reinforce the dollar, what do you think every additional nation is going to do? They're going to utilize stablecoins to reinforce their fiat currency as well. This is the biggest revolution in history because we are changing literally everything. And, you know, again, I go back to these announcements, these partnerships, these payment partnerships. Guys, these payment partnerships are crucial to focus on, and we're starting to see them popping up almost every 2 to 3 weeks now. For an example, May 19th, Ripple launches cross-border blockchain payments in the UAE with Zambank and Mammo Pay. Guys, these are all, huge developments. These are all major moves to support the original idea of the Internet of Value. And this is where we start to see Ripple really kind of make that dent in the world, utilizing stablecoins, XRP, and even the XRP ledger. So I'm very excited about the future. I think that this was a great event around XRP. I think Apex is going to be much bigger, and I also think that we're going to see a lot more partnerships and announcements at this one as well. So definitely stay tuned for Apex 2025. I'll keep you guys posted once we get closer to that date. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.